And who cares, bro? I'm just gonna look at you.
This is my room's a mess.
Oh man, ladies and gentlemen. Oh man, welcome back to the quarantine episode of The Messy Room. As always, ladies and gentlemen, my name is Vic, and I'm with my best friend Jason.
What's good?
Like a messy room, life is all over the place, ladies and gentlemen, and no idea is crazy. We're gonna talk about it all on this podcast, ladies and gentlemen.
Yes,
and
sir.
Oh man, ladies and gentlemen, I'm hyped. I don't know if you can tell.
Yeah.
I'm hyped, a little nervous. We got an amazing
Superstar.
Amazing guest.
Superstar.
Yeah, exactly. Amazing guest this week, ladies and gentlemen.
Bro.
Oh man.
All right. So we have a guest that for me, I've been following her for a while. I think she's awesome. And I'm really excited. Honestly, this is something I've been dreaming about for like months. And all of a sudden it's becoming a reality today. I'm excited. Today we're having somebody, a person of science. You know, this is the first time we actually have somebody that's not just, me talking to science about Vic and Vic's getting tight. Yo, I don't care about science, bro, blah, blah, blah. We have somebody that cares about science just as much as me. She does some great stuff in the community. I'm just excited, bro. Honestly, I don't even want to ruin it for you guys. I'm gonna just introduce her. I've been raving about her for a while, bro. Now, this week we have on our special guest, Raven Baxter.
Oh man. How's it going? How you doing?
Hey y'all, what's up?
Yeah.
What's up? Oh man, we're excited to have you. Like all jokes aside, like I just want to reiterate this. Like I'm telling you, Jason told me about you, right? And he was like just so hyped and excited. Yo, you should see what she's doing, bro. She's gonna change the world. It's mad awesome, bro. And I was like, the more hyped he got, I was like, oh, I gotta find out who she is. And the more research I did, I was like, oh man, she's the best, bro. So we're super excited to have you on.
I've been telling Vic, I think I sent him a screenshot. It was like last week. Like after we had the meeting in place already, I was like, yo, Vic, I sent him a screenshot of you talking back and forth with MC Hammer. I was like, bro, she's tweeting back and forth with MC Hammer and she's about to be on our show, bro. I was like, all right, bro, this is like a big step for us. And this is just like an opportunity for us to open people's eyes too. Cause for me, I come from we come from a place where science is not like, it's the boring subject in school. Nobody really cares about it. So it's exciting to have somebody that loves science just as much as me, and we can talk about it, try to inspire some people to be more interested in it, and get it rolling. So I guess we can start off. Yes. I guess we could start it off. For you, you've been doing science, you're getting your PhD right now. What inspired you to want to do science and do what you're doing?
It's always been a factor in my life. Like I make a joke and I say I popped out the womb as a scientist because I really, are we cussing on the show?
Huh? What is it?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, yeah, I tell people like I dead ass came out of my mom like as a scientist. And as a kid, some of my earliest memories are just me curious about the world around me and me just asking questions about everything. Like even like, why is the sky blue? Why is the grass green? Why are there different types of clouds in the sky? And like just questions like that my family couldn't answer because I don't come from a family of scientists. I come from a family of smart people, but nobody is in STEM. So I had to figure that stuff out on my own, right? So like I became like a mini researcher. I'm in the library, checking out books, trying to figure this out. And that's scientist, right? That's a early budding scientific career. And I stuck with that. And like I'm kind of glad that I was a kid who didn't really care what people thought of me, because I definitely did get made fun of because I was so inquisitive and smart and in a time and place where kids my age just weren't really into it, at least in the area that I was in. Inner city. But like, I never listened to the haters. I was like, this is what's interesting to me. If it's not interesting to you, you do your own thing. We all got our own thing going on here.
That's facts.
So I just kept pursuing science, and I love learning. And with science, there's always questions to answer. So it's really exciting for me to be a scientist. And I've never really I've considered like alternative careers like fashion, or politics, in which I might get into eventually, because at this rate, I gotta jump in and like we gotta jump in and, like, do something. But yeah, science has always been number one for me, and I'm still there today.
Yeah. All right. So that's awesome, because for me, I was the same way. I was young. I was always like, I even to this day, like I ask myself like 100 questions a day, like just like being curious, and it's not just like because of science, it's more just, natural curiosity. But I think like the curiosity is what brought me to science. Like when I was in high school is when I started taking like I started getting recommended for AP classes because I was like good. Right. So that's when I like started getting deep into like certain subjects like biology, chemistry, physics. And I was like, all right, this is definitely what I want to do. One, because I've always been good at math, like math and science kind of go hand in hand, so math has always been my strong suit. So when I saw that I could use math and apply it to the world, like especially if chemistry was my first love for science, like chemistry was like, all right, this is what I want to do in my life.
Oh, Jason, real smart.
Yo, nah.
Jason's big smart. Oh my God.
Yeah.
Big smart.
Yeah,
it's the complete opposite for me, but somehow we still ended up in the same space.
I mean, that's what I love about science too. It applies to everything. Like literally anything and everything is science. Like the way our phones work, right? The way the crystalline structure of all this stuff inside works. Like I mean, like it's just everything, little thing, like gravity. Like the way the air is, there's oxygen and all these particles in the air, and you breathe it in, blah, 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 blah. Like it's literally explains the world. So for me, like it was like a way to look at the world in a different way so that I can, put it to my advantage. Like when I'm sitting there, I'm like, all right, I need to do something. I like try to think about what I know and how it works, and how can I apply what I know and how it works to make it do what I want it to do, So I've always been inspired, bro.
So a question I have, right, is so like I'll be honest, right? I was never like into the science. Like I felt like I was a curious kid, but I never like I felt like science was kind of like when they kind of like gave it to me in school, it was kind of like I felt like it was like when like you're a little kid, and I don't know if I'm the only one who went through this. Like they tell you to read, and it's like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I felt like science was like that, but as like I became friends with Jason. Like Jason, like he loves this stuff, and he convinced me that this stuff is important and this stuff is interesting, right? Like I was like blinded by all that stuff. So how do you convince someone that was like me, that was like, oh, that's not for me? How do you convince someone like that to show that science is awesome and science is important?
I feel like we could tie in a lot of what Jason just demonstrated into that question, and just showing people how accessible science really is. Science isn't just people in a lab running experiments, real smart, old white men, science.
Yeah.
That's not what science is, right? That's how science has been presented by the media and by the representation we have and the societal structures people have developed over time. But the real science is like scientific inquiry, literally just asking questions and using the tools and resources around you to answer those questions and come up with conclusions. And like we can get people into science by just showing them simple things around them in their everyday lives that they can answer or investigate scientifically, and also like helping people understand how important science is to their everyday lives. The way your car runs, you can't get to work without a scientist, right? Because our cars run on basically continuous explosions. We had to figure out how we wouldn't explode ourselves every time we turn the key in the ignition. You know what I'm saying? So
or
thank
poison
you,
ourselves with
for
the
that.
gases.
Exactly. So like it's all around us. It's important, and we have to really drive that home for people who are disconnected with that, so that we can build or bridge that gap.
So to answer your question too, Vic, for me, like I think that it's just the way it's presented to us in school, especially like our schools. You know what I mean? Like in our school,
I agree.
It's always like just an additional thing we have to learn. It's not like something that's important. It's just like something else I gotta learn. Like,
it's like a mandatory class you have to take to graduate. That's how they put it out there.
Like everyone, I remember in school, everybody in algebra and stuff like that was like, yo, why do I need to learn this? I'm never gonna do this stuff I'm never gonna use this stuff in my life. And like Raven said, the idea of science is you got to be a scientist, you know, in the lab doing experiments when it's not really true. So like if you're a little kid or like, you know, in school and you're like growing up and you're not expecting to be a scientist in your life, why are you going to care about science in the first place? It's just going to be like something, you know, like I said, it's just something you have to learn. But I think, you know, the way it's presented, it should be more something like it runs life, bro. Literally, it runs our life, how everything works inside of our bodies as well. It literally is science, bro. Like how you breathe, how I can move my muscles, how they contract back and forth, all this crazy stuff that's going on inside of our bodies. It literally happens because of science. And I think it's the way it's presented that makes it tough for people.
So then like how do we present it? Because like I learned late, right? I learned late that science was important. Science is awesome, right? But like, how do you get to the point where like little kids are like, oh man, that's what we need to learn. We need to learn how the world works around us and how things work together to create what we have. You know what I mean? How do you portray it so kids are interested?
I think maybe the answer. Oh, you can go ahead.
No, you go ahead. I was just waiting to see if you wanted.
I think maybe, you know, we could start with more diversity in what kids are watching on television, right? Like we don't really have good representation, especially for kids of color, who might be interested in science. Like we have Sid the Science Kid, but I think he's orange. Like, you know, we don't really know what Sid the Science Kid, who he's representing. He's orange, but having role models in science who look like our target audiences and who can speak to and speak the same language as our communities that are underrepresented, especially, is important to getting people into science. And then also understanding like we are not a monolith. Like even white people are different, right? We got like hillbilly white people who do science, right?
Yeah.
We got people, you know, in LA, like I don't know, just Californian Valley people doing science. We got New Yorkers doing science. We got Floridians doing like, and those are all different cultures. And I think like we need to do a better job of just showing diversity in general for all races, so that people can not just see somebody who looks like them, but actually really feel connected to who they're seeing and hearing do science in the media.
I agree. Because I think like 7th grade is when I was first introduced to like Bill Nye. Bill Nye, the science guy, was like one of the first people I learned was like, all right, this is a scientist. He teaching me all this stuff. And I was like, all right, I kind of like what he's talking about. And he was like, you know, like, he was always like kind of crazy on his show too. He was always like, yo, look at this. This is some crazy thing that I'm showing you, blah, 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 blah. So, but then, you know, on top of that, now we, you know, not to say push over Bill Nye the Science Guy, but move over, bro. Now we got Raven the Science Maven, who's somebody, you know, like you're. I think
I don't want the smoke, bro. I don't want the smoke. I really don't. Like...
Yeah, no, all right. I guess there's room enough for everybody in this community, right? So it's more like I agree with you. It's more like trying to show people that it's not just, you know, this person that's been like this, like, you know, it's not just this type of person, it's anybody. Like obviously the reason I first was like, all right, we really need her to be on our show was I watched your TED Talk, and I was in tears watching that.
I was gonna say, I'm not gonna lie, I cried.
Because one, I loved how you started it talking about you can't put yourself in a box. And that's like literally what I tell Vic all the time. People are like, oh, you're this and that. I'm like, bro, please, all I am is Jason, bro. Don't put me in a box. Literally, my name is Jason. That's the only box I want to be in. And so then you started talking about your story. I mean, I don't want to say the story. I think it'll be better coming from you.
No, you go ahead. I quoted a lot.
Yeah, I know. That's why I was like, damn, this is something important to talk about, but I feel like that's always the message that you're forced to send, because you are that, you know, person that is like the first one not first, but like you're like one of the people trying to come out and be this. So I'll tell the story then. The story is you were working at a research lab doing for biology. So she was already doing her science, like like what I'm expecting to be doing next year after I graduate, she was already doing, right? And she was the person that she was like the only Black person at her job. And one day I think they got there was another person that was Black came to the job, and somebody came up to her and was like, oh, how nice it must be for you not to be the token Black anymore. And like that hit me, bro. Like I was like, damn, bro, why is it gotta always be like that? It's not just like in the science community, it's like all over
It's
the
everywhere.
place.
It's everywhere.
It's like all over the place. It feels like we're not, meant to be in this field. And I understand that that's why a lot of people are thrown off and don't want to be in this kind of field. Because like for me, I have a similar experience where so when I was graduating, it was my senior year, and my AP physics teacher, I honestly, he was like one of my favorite teachers, and he stood up at the front of the class it was like towards the end, we had already taken the AP exam, and he stood up at the front of the class and he was like reading us statistics saying, yo, one in every 6 Latinos graduates from college. And I was like, damn, there was a class of 30. And I was like, only 5 of us, based off of those stats, only 5 of us should be able to graduate. And like when he was reading that to me, obviously he was just trying to open my eyes to the reality of stuff. But it really felt like what I'm trying to pursue is not like, I'm not meant to succeed in this kind of thing. So it's like, I think having positive role models like Raven is what we need, so that people are more motivated to get there. And like on top of that, now that I'm in my science field and I'm studying chemical engineering, I'm the only Hispanic in my class of like 90 people, maybe 1 or 2 more. Like, could you imagine like the percentages are way off? Like it's like 70 white kids in a class of 90. And then I'm like here by myself and I'm the only one that's Hispanic. I like already sitting in class, I don't feel like I should belong in that situation, because like, bro, why like, who do you think you are? You're the only Hispanic here. Like what are you trying to be? You go back to where you came from. I obviously, nobody's saying this to me. Like I didn't get the experience where somebody's saying that to me directly, but sometimes it just feels like I don't belong there. So it's
Was
tough
the
out here.
person reading that the statistics, were they Latino?
What was it?
Mr. Peacock wasn't Latino.
No, he was white. He was white.
See, my problem is when people read those statistics, my first question is, okay, so you know the statistics, what are you going to do to change the statistic? Or are you just telling me the statistic to discourage me? Because like, what's the point in telling a classroom full of students who have their whole lives ahead of them that they're not going to make it if you're not actively like also vocalizing, I'm going to help you make it, like.
I mean, I feel like for him, like he was a very supportive teacher. Like I feel like he was a special kind of teacher. He cared a lot about us as students, but it was more like, I think the reality is like me and Vic grew up in Chelsea. Like, bro,
It's like a Hispanic neighborhood.
yeah, this
mostly.
literally like there was like 2 white kids that graduated in our whole class, like at
Yeah,
300 people.
yeah.
So it's like, imagine the whole opposite of usually it's like a bunch of white people and like a few of the minority. We're the majority in that situation. So it's like, I think he was just trying to open our eyes, because he knows that we're coming from, we're like, like what is it called? I don't know how to say it. It's kind of like we're in like this special environment that's like not the norm in the whole world. So like I think he was just trying to open our eyes to what can we expect when we get there, because like literally I did not grow up with any white kids at all, right? And then I go to college and I'm the only Hispanic in my class. So now I'm literally was taken from one place that was here that was like I felt really comfortable to, like now I'm like, all right, well, what's going on here? And I was all confused. But I think him telling me that, one, it put a chip on my shoulder. Like I'm trying to represent not just myself, but I'm trying to represent my family and everybody and the community that I come from too. Like, so it's positive and negative, but I do think that it's just like, it's tough that it has to feel like I have to be the one to like make it out you know, it's like for you, like I know, I like I said, you've probably told that story how many times. Like it's just, you know, like it feels like that's what. Why are you like you got the burden to try to change people's minds? Like why is that the case? It shouldn't have to be the case.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. I'm with
So
you.
Yeah.
yeah, you keep going.
What get? Oh, you can keep going. Yeah.
Oh, were you saying something? I don't know.
Oh no, so I was gonna say what got me with your TED talk was it was just I like because I was like, oh man, she's like I feel like, you know, like you're like famous, you know what I mean? And then to be like so like relatable, like because like when you were saying like you were doing the science, you were doing the thing you love, but you felt alone still, you know, you felt alone, and I felt like that for a long time. I worked in a bank for 3 years, and everyone around me did not look like me. And you know, I even tried to like do things like I got a comb over, you know what I'm saying? Try to fit in, and
No, you did it, Victor.
I swear on everything. I swear on everything. Yeah, I got a comb over, try to like, you know what I mean? I was like, and I felt like just I felt like because I loved doing the business, the finance side of things in the bank, but it became like a thing where it was like I felt like I was losing myself, and even like with my friends and stuff, I was changing and I was different, you know, and it was because I was trying to just like I feel like assimilate to
Like fit in,
some
bro.
nonsense.
Right?
Yeah. And then when you said that, I was just like, oh my God, I relate to that so much because I felt alone. Like even when like I never got like the like you know like I got like some like little comments here and there, but I never got like something directly like you did. But it was still like a thing where like even when these like dudes were trying to be nice to me, I still kind of felt like alone. Like I felt like I was like, you'll never understand me, you know, like it was like weird. And I had to leave. Like it was just like I felt like I was changing as a person doing that job.
Isn't that crazy, man? Like that's really crazy. You started physically changing things about yourself just to
Yeah.
feel like you could fit in this space. That is insane. Nobody should have to go through that. That's crazy.
I know. Yeah, I'm telling you, never in my life have I got a comb over except for those 3 years.
So
Those 3 years of my life.
this is something that I actually talk about Vic about, you know, for a lot. Like especially when we was working there. Like, you know, I'm obviously his friend, right? And I could see like not only the physical changes he was trying to make, but it was like even like, you know, when he would call me after work, it doesn't seem like Vic. It was just like a whole different person. Like it really felt like him trying to fit in was breaking himself down as a person and wasn't being himself anymore. So like I know your message is always to be your unapologetic self. Like that's beautiful because you know you gotta be yourself and you can't you know care what other people are gonna think about you. But so Vic, when I talk about that with Vic, he's like, but yo, if I don't, you know, change it, I'm not gonna fit in. They're gonna look at me different, and I'm not gonna be able to get to where I want to get if I don't do that.
Yeah.
So the thing we always talk about is code switching. You know, codes like switching the way you talk and everything to like try to fit in. And I know in one of your songs that you made ATCG about, you know,
Nah.
the way our DNA is, man. Obviously, you said I don't code switch. So for you in that situation, why do you not try to code switch?
Um, Many reasons, but let me say that during my doctoral research, I've looked into actual scholarly research that other people have done about code switching and the psychological impacts that it has on minorities in science. And guess what? There is a negative psychological impact. We have documentations of people going into depression, and people having to receive therapy because of code switching. And that is proven through multiple studies looking into the narratives of people in STEM. And so we have actual, you know, mental implications here. And, you know, the mind and the body are connected, right? So, you know, mental, physical, this is affecting us as our in our being, right? And that's not right. I recognize this even well before my doctoral research. I was physically like sick when I was working at this job, and I want to say I was depressed, and my depression maybe led to some like physical ailments where I was just like having trouble getting out of bed. I was having trouble like, really just functioning. And it was because I was depressed. And I was depressed because every time I came into work, I had to basically cut off who I was and assume an identity that I had to craft based on what I felt like I had to do to be accepted and seen as equal at the workplace. And like, that was literally making me sick, like physically ill. And my doctor is the actual person who told me to quit that job. My doctor.
That's like a prescription.
That's crazy.
That's like the prescription from the doctor.
Jason told me to quit my job.
Prescription.
Yeah. Nah, it was literally like when I remember, like, because I'm always thinking about the next joke, like how can I be funny in this way, whatever shape or form. And it was kind of like a thing where like Jason would say a joke to me, like, and I was kind of like, yo, don't say that to me, don't talk to me like that, you know what I mean? and then I would think to myself, like, why was I mad, bro? It wasn't even that deep, you know what I'm saying? Like, what? And then like Jason all the time, bro, it's your job, bro. You gotta leave your job, man. You gotta
on a daily basis,
bro. On a daily basis, yeah. And I finally left, and I feel like 20 billion times better. Like I feel like I'm back and I'm better. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. It's more than ever. You know what I'm saying? I feel great. I feel awesome, and I think this man right here for just like being there through even when I was yelling at him and stuff. You know what I mean?
Friend, yo, you're a good friend for real.
Hey, bro,
yeah, but like, we gotta take care of ourselves. And like, I think the hardest thing about leaving the job was, a lot of other Black people that I look up to who are older than me and kind of have seen my journey. They were like, don't leave, we need Black women in STEM. Like, you got to stay to keep the numbers up. And I'm like, is it really my job though? Like, I feel like the companies that hire us, it's their responsibility to keep the numbers up. We shouldn't have to stay in these places where we're experiencing emotional trauma just so that we can keep the statistic, or beat the statistic of women or people of color in STEM. Like, they need to fix their practices. They need to check their employees, make sure that they're cultivating a healthy work environment and culture for us to stay, right? You can't have retention, or you can't have diversity without retention. If you can hire people, but if they don't stay, we'll never be able to beat this statistic. And the responsibility is not on us, right? Because we're just one person. They have to fix the organizational culture. So I spent some time really thinking, like, do I do, how can I still do it for the culture, right? And hold it down for my people without basically killing myself, right? Slowly. And I said, okay, I get the decision. I'm like, I'm gonna leave, but I'm gonna turn around and try to bring in more people behind me as I work on fixing the culture. And that's ultimately what happened.
Yeah. So that's what you're doing now, as you're doing your PhD in science education, right? So one, what are you specifically studying? I know a PhD is usually like doing research and stuff like that, right?
Yeah. So it's really fun because my work, I'm doing a study on myself, kind of.
Okay.
So my study is centered around my music video that is titled Big Ol' Geeks. And Geeks,
yo, you can spit, bro.
Besides
about science, bro, like you can spit. The flow is crazy on that song. Like you're just like I can't even talk that fast.
I got a quote here. Let me try to find it. Oh, where is it? Oh, I'll find it. But
like, that's crazy. Bro. That's crazy. Yeah, continue.
Y'all are too kind. You're too kind, for real. I appreciate it. But like that, just a little background on that song. I'm gonna tie this into my doctoral research, but the reason why I made that song was really out of pettiness, like I had and Victor, I'm sure you can like relate, and Jason, I'm sure you can relate too. But Victor, when you quit your job at the bank, right? How much pent up shit did you have in your spirit?
I had a lot,
right?
A lot, yeah.
And like, how did you get rid of that energy?
I honestly, like I was so all right. So I felt like I was like holding myself back for so long that when like I was kind of nervous. I don't know why. I was like nervous when I called my boss because we're all working from home. This is recent. This is like 2 months ago, 3 months ago. And I called my boss and then I was like, oh, what am I gonna say? Like talking to myself. And then like when the words just started coming out, I started like smiling and I was just like, yeah, let's fucking go. You know what I mean? And it was kind of like, and then he was kind of like, I think like he like could hear that I was like happy, and he was like, well, yeah, I'm not gonna convince you to stay. Sounds like you made your decision. And I was like, in my head, I was like, hell yeah, you know what I mean? But yeah, that like it was that moment when I was like actually speaking to him, and then that's when I was like, yo, I felt like weight was just getting lifted left and right off my shoulders. It was awesome.
I love that you said that because it was the exact same thing for me. Only that happened for me longer than 2 months after I quit. You said 2 months ago. It was it happened not as I was quitting, but like months after I had quit. I started really reflecting and looking back because as I said before, I was struggling between like, do I stay and stick it out for the culture and like keep getting abused in this toxic atmosphere, or do I leave and do better for myself and try to do different things in this space? And so I was feeling guilty actually for a few months because I'm like, dang, I left, dang. But once I kind of got over that feeling, I was like, oh no, they messed up. They really missed out on like,
that's how it is.
They missed out. And so in that emotion, I just started writing bars. Like I was getting real petty because I'm like, oh yeah, they really missed out because I'm that girl. They could have had a good one over there. I started writing down how I felt and like basically kind of wanted to leave an instruction guide, I guess, for people coming in behind me. Like, this is the energy we're gonna have coming into this space, right? Like, and I wanted to pump confidence out of myself and into like just the STEM world, but specifically for Black women, like, because I've had the experience of what it feels like to not have support, and I wanted to send a message of support. And also, like, as I was writing the bars, I'm like, oh no, this gotta be a music video, which I've never done. Like, it was so extra for me, but I was at the point where I'm like, I know it's gonna look bad if I got twerking videos online, but like at the same time, if I'm being true to myself, this is exactly what I'm gonna do. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, I wrote the song, I made the video, I prayed on it. I'm spiritual. I was praying on it, and I'm like, if this is meant to be, it'll be. I'm hoping that it gets received well, and that the message that I'm trying to give to the world gets to the right people, and that I'm not gonna get like roasted. And what happened was I did not get roasted for the most part. For the most part, like the response to my music video, like I talked about this in my TED Talk. I was not planning on it going viral. I was just putting it out there, with no expectations, just to really say I did it. I did something that was true to me, how I felt. Like it went crazy. And the messages I was getting back were from not really just Black women, but people all over STEM saying this inspired me to be myself, right? Seeing you do your thing and be comfortable with who you are, with your body and the way that you talk, and the way that you want to share science inspires me to do my own thing and like be true to myself in this space. And that was like mind-blowing to me because I didn't really like understand that was possible the way I was doing it, because I had never seen anybody communicate science and like celebrate science the way I was doing it. It was always, I had always seen, the whitewashed version of somebody just standing in your face, sharing facts, or like if it was a rap video, it was never really done in the way that I would do it. Like it usually is science rap videos, they strip all of the real culture out of it, and it's just like people rhyming, you know what I'm saying? Like, so I wasn't sure how I was going to be received, but to see how well received it was amazing. So I studied it, you know. Now I'm circling back to my doctoral study. I studied the response to my music video, and I specifically like zoned in on the response of Black women because I'm a Black woman and I understand that lived experience, and I wanted to start there. I'm going to expand the study later to all populations, but for Black women, I interviewed 50, and half of them have STEM careers and the other half don't. And they all watched my Big Ol' Geeks music video, and I asked them questions. And so some of the data that I got from them was that out of all the 50 women, 98% of them said that they identify the most common representation of a scientist in American media as a white male, which was of no surprise because that's consistent with actually 50 years of data of researchers asking the same questions, right? We've asked the same question for 50 years. I just wanted to build on that. And it's consistent. But 80% of the women all of the women had never seen a Black woman scientist in the media ever. Like,
I think you're the first one for me too.
Me too, yeah.
Ever. I was like, so nobody, like not nobody on TV, nobody on the internet. And they're like, I've never seen it. I didn't know they even existed. Some of them didn't even know. And I'm like, what? And for of the half of the women that did not have STEM careers, would you believe that 80% of them said they would have tried to pursue a STEM career if they had seen this type of representation earlier in their lives? Isn't that crazy?
Wow.
That is crazy.
It's crazy. And that is probably the most important part of my research because the research that's been done on underrepresentation of different races in STEM, they never really ask adults who are not in STEM careers why they didn't choose STEM. Mm-hmm. They always talk to people who have STEM careers about like their experiences in STEM, but we need to like take 2 steps back and say, we have a whole population of adults here who don't connect with STEM. Why is that? Let's ask them why not, and how can we get them into STEM, or where did we mess up? What could we have done? And my study is showing that representation earlier in these people's lives can make a really big impact. So yeah, I'm excited to contribute to the literature in that way, and I'm hoping that my data can be used to give more opportunities to people of color and more diverse folks, just a chance to be seen and heard in this space.
That's beautiful.
Awesome.
That is absolutely beautiful, because I got 2 things, right? One, obviously, that music, I'm telling you again, that music video is crazy, bro. If you haven't watched it, go watch that music video.
Ladies and gentlemen, if you haven't watched this music video, you're fucking slacking. I'm telling you. Yo, let me just read a little quick bar. Ready? My flow sick is bubonic. You might need antibiotics.
Boom.
That went over Jason's head. He doesn't even know what that means. That went over Jason's head.
See, this is what I'm saying. Like, obviously, you know, bro, me and Vic, we're both big fans of rap. Like, my favorite rapper is Kendrick Lamar, and I love the wordplay and everything. And you were able to not only keep the wordplay, the flow,
but the flow
was crazy, and it was still about science, bro. Like, that shit was like a triple threat. I was listening to, I was like, yeah, what? This is crazy, a crazy thing. I've never seen this before, right? So that's one, right? 2, the study that you're doing, I want to say, like, first off, like stepping back, right? You're like, it's crazy, Vic. I don't know, because you're the one outside of science in this situation. Like, let me speak to you right here, right?
Yeah.
Bro, don't you think it's crazy? Like, she's doing science based, just asking people about their opinions. That's still science, bro. I think it's crazy. This is what I think is crazy. Everybody thinks science is this. You know, you pour it from the beaker to another beaker.
That's what I think. No joke. That's what I think. That's what I thought.
It's really like we get taught the scientific method when we're kids, bro. It's like whatever you ask a question, hypothesize, you do your research, get your data, again, you get your conclusion, right? So
Yeah.
the thing is, I don't think it's pushed enough that, bro, it could be about anything. It doesn't just have to be about, this explosion, this reaction, or this and that. It could literally be what Raven's doing right here, just asking questions and understanding how people feel and what's going on in the situation. So I think that's a beautiful study, because, that's going to open a lot of people's eyes and help people in the future too. So it's like a science that helps people, Man, that shit, it's just crazy, bro. It's just crazy.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Thank you so much.
Yeah. So now so when you get your PhD in science education, I was seeing, bro. Yeah, you posted 2 days ago or something like that. I was like, yo, she made a mistake, bro.
I be coming for people's necks, bro.
Yo, she dead ass added the Secretary of Education was like, I want your job.
I want your job.
I want your job, bro.
I'm a savage. I'm not gonna lie.
Yo, that I was hyped, bro. I was like, yo, that's crazy, bro. That's not being fearful. That's not being nice. Yo, you know what? I want change. This is how I'm gonna make change. I want to do it for myself, bro. So, going off of that, so right, so now you're gonna have a PhD in education. Clearly, you're qualified for the job. There's no way, no one's gonna be like, no, you can't be the Secretary of Education. You dead ass got a PhD in education, like, although it's specifically science, it's still education. So if you did get that job, what would be your first step? Be the first thing you go and you sit down, you change, because go ahead.
There's so much, and I still have a bit to learn, about the structure of the education system, but I've worked at multiple levels in many different capacities in many different education systems, from public schools, K through 12, to university, to being an administrator, to being a professor, to being, on the staff as an advisor. Like, I've seen so many different dimensions of what's going on, and man, there's a lot of issues, man. We got a lot to fix. It's almost hard to say where we start first. I'll tell you a few of my priorities. Number one, teachers need to be paid more money.
For sure.
More money.
For sure.
They are not paid enough for
I agree.
what they go through. They're not. If we cannot afford to pay more money, then we need to reduce the workload. They need to have better breaks during the day so that they can unwind. Being a teacher is like being a parent to hundreds of kids. It's a huge emotional load, huge. And you're caring, you're trying to care for students, you're trying to discipline students, you're trying to teach students. When you're finished at the end of the day, you are worn out. And then some teachers don't even stop there. They do after school activities, right? Or they're running clubs, they're coaching sports. People are putting their entire lives and literal beings into the job, and they do it because they're passionate about it and they want to see these kids successful. And we want to really nurture and invest in our teachers, because they're bringing up the future of our country, right? And if they tired and worn out, and if we have teachers quitting every year and students have no consistency because they know Mr. Smith is going to be quitting at the end of the year, we're not going to care about Mr. Smith because he's just going to be gone. Our school systems are broken. So we have a lot to do. We need to enforce better cultural awareness for our students across the board. Feel like there should be national standards that are for cultural competency, so that people understand not only what's going on in their communities, but what's going on beyond their communities. And truly giving a hands-on approach to that, right? Not just preaching, but let's get these kids out here. Let's actually take them around their communities so they can see what's going on. Let's teach them why things are happening the way that they're happening, and also empower them with leadership skills so that they can feel like a connection to it and a duty to take care of their communities and the people in it. Standardized testing is questionable. It's not looking good, especially for people of color. These standardized tests are not great. So we need to take a look at that. I'm not sure if they should be eradicated completely, but I think that we certainly need to be more creative in how they're implemented and how they're designed. But we definitely do need some sort of standard grading metric. So that's why I'm hesitant to get rid of it completely. But you know, those are things that I am really passionate about. And of course science, right? But that's, you know,
But yeah, that's
that's a
beside
whole other
that.
thing. This is just the baseline. Boom, boom, boom.
Yeah.
So vote for me. Well, I actually no, I don't have to run, but Joe Biden, Kamala, you know, if it's my time,
Hey,
I accept. Okay.
I'll see. I want to see it. I want to see it.
I already done added Betsy DeVos. So girl, you already know what time it is. So
She's coming, bro. She's coming.
She's coming,
I
yeah.
wonder if you saw that tweet.
She probably did. She probably went like this though.
Yeah,
she
probably
didn't
like,
want the smoke. She didn't want the smoke.
You don't want the smoke. For real. What are you gonna say to that? Like, what do you even say to that? That's just never like, oh damn, bro. Clearly I'm not doing something. Well, I mean, you see it, but there's no changes that and what we need to be seen change. So I wanna say, yo, those 3 things that you said were really good things, right? Last week we had a teacher on, like we had an actual teacher.
2 weeks ago.
Was it 2 weeks ago? No, it was last week.
Last week we had Connor.
Oh, 2 weeks ago. My fault. The weeks just bumble up in me now. I'm sorry. So 2 weeks ago, 2 weeks ago, we had a teacher that teaches at the school we went to. You know, he graduated with us, and now he's teaching at the school that we went to, right? And I straight up asked him. I was like, bro, like, and do you think you get paid? Like did pay ever become something that affected your decision to want to be a teacher? You know, obviously, you know, we come from our neighborhood's not the richest in the world. So he was like, honestly, yo, I'm getting paid pretty good compared to how my parents get paid. So, you know, that was humbling to me, because I was like, all right, I'm trying to do something big in my life. So it was like whatever. But so what I was saying to him, like we were just talking, and it was crazy because we started talking about one of our teachers from high school who was a chemistry teacher. It was like her first year and all like that. And we like, she was just treated like crap by all of her students, like crap every single day. Like they would literally make fun of her for everything. And I'm not gonna lie, I was a little kid. Bro? I was young and a little kid. I was there too, making. I was just, going with the flow of what students are doing. Anyway,
right. Bro. This man.
Yo, chill. Anyway. So that's what I was saying. I was like, bro, could you imagine not only having to take care of these kids, making sure they're all safe, not only do you have to teach them stuff and make sure that they're learning these things, you're getting made fun of on a daily basis for doing what you're trying to do. Like, bro, who wants to have that job? And I think it's got to be more attractive for people to want to go and do that thing. To the standardized test, I think it's funny that we have standardized tests, but we don't have standardized education in every community, bro. Like, how are we gonna have the same test, but we don't have the same learning, structure for what we're doing in class? Like,
this man's been thinking, bro.
Yo, it doesn't
this
equal.
Man's been thinking,
it
bro.
Doesn't equal.
Roast that shit. Roast the system. Go ahead. Keep going.
But straight up, right? The actual teacher we had on, he taught at a richer neighborhood in Massachusetts, and now he's teaching back where we grew up in Chelsea. And he was like, bro, it's crazy that all these little kids, they're like little kids. He was like teaching elementary school. They have all laptops, bro. They're like little kids and they have laptops. And we're in Chelsea High, where it's a high school, and we don't have enough,
I think we had 2 laptop cards for the whole school.
Like, imagine that. We have to like share so many resources to do this. And then they wonder why we're not competent on a computer or stuff like that. It's like, oh, you expect us to perform just as well as you when you have all these resources. I went to school, and I, when I started meeting actual white people, they were talking about having iPads. That everybody had an iPad. There was a kid that was in college with an iPad. He was like, oh, I was like, oh, that's a cool iPad. He was like, yeah, bro, I got it from my school. They gave it to me for free. Like, they gave him an iPad in high school. He got to keep it for the rest of his life, bro. Like, come on. Like, where's the equality in this? And I'm telling you, they expect us to all take the same test and still get the same grades. And then they wonder why at the end they see, like, I actually did a paper on this for one of my classes, because obviously I was like really interested in it. It was a sociology class, and I was learning about, everything that holds us back in our communities. I was like, yo, I was realizing like obviously in urban communities like inner city, you know, they're like the grades for standardized tests are way lower. And you see that it's because one, I think it's bigger than just obviously education, because it'll be like, you know, some kids have to work, you know, for their family when they're like 14 just so that way they can make rent. Like that's a whole different situation that people have to deal with. One, and then two, imagine not having the right books, not having the right equipment that you need. Like they're like having like if you want to do a science experiment, you need all this equipment for it. If you don't have the equipment, you can't learn the scientific properties you're trying to learn from that. So like, you know, we're already getting held back. So I don't know, like this is a conversation that me and Vic have all the time. Like the education system is just, I feel like it's not equal for like, and not equal as the opportunity for, if you're growing up where we grew up, or growing up in like, you know, a suburban white area, you're more likely gonna have a better education system. And if you have a better education system, you know, those kids go to college, and they go to college and, you know, they do well in college, they get to graduate, they can come back and then be good teachers at those schools. Now, if you have bad teachers at these schools, at our schools, and we grow up and we learn from them, we go to, and you know, 1 out of 6 of us only graduate college. That one person may not want to be a teacher. If we don't get those good students that could be role models in our classrooms to come back and be teachers there. So it's a whole big issue. I don't know. It just gets me so frustrated.
This man was thinking. How long you been storing that up in the chamber?
Storing up.
What the?
Bro,
I talk to you every day, bro.
I know. Yo, I saved that, bro. It's because I didn't like, no one ever said standardized test, like, you know, as an issue for me. So then when I started thinking, I was like, yo, I like put it together. I was already thinking there's inequities in education. And then I realized, I like when she said standardized tests, I was like, yo, how do we have standardized tests, but we're not learning the same stuff in class, bro? So then I was like, yo, we have
standard. President, you're gonna be my VP, like that. Baxter Mendez for ticket.
Yeah, I voted for you guys. Don't worry, Rob.
We about to roast everybody.
I mean, and it's not like I want to roast people. I just want to open people's eyes. More what I'm trying to do.
That's all facts, bro.
Yeah,
it's not even roasting,
it's not like, because it's not like it feels like a roast, but it's only the roast because it's the truth, bro. You know what I mean?
It hurts, bro. And it hurts, bro.
The truth hurts. Yes, exactly. The truth hurts, and nobody wants to hear the truth. And it's like when you have somebody that gets to see, you know, the opposite side of the coin and has to live through that. And now I'm in a position where I'm like, I feel like, you know, I've learned a lot of stuff, and I have, you know, a better chance for my own free thinking, is where I'm just like, yo, you know, you're holding me back, bro. And I didn't notice you were doing it before, but I don't like that, brother. We got to change that, you know, we got to change that. So I definitely think that, you know, somebody like, you know, that comes from places like us where we understand there's the inequities that there is in the communities, like, you know, we'll be able to come in and, you know, rip up the whole system. Like, I still think it's crazy how we, like, there's the education system in the 1950s is basically exactly what we're doing right now, and it's like 50 years later. But in those 50 years now, we all have computers, we all have phones in our pockets and all this, but we're not, like, you know, taking advantage of those technologies to help us learn. Because I feel like we can, like, I feel like there should be a class on Googling, how to Google stuff so you can learn and teach yourself how to do stuff. Because there's so much like information out there. Sometimes it's hard to like sift through all that stuff and find what you really want to find, you know. And then there's also false education, miseducation, like, you know, teaching you the wrong stuff, focusing on stuff that doesn't, like, especially in this atmosphere right now with the election going on. Like, I realized I was just like yesterday I was having a conversation with my friends, and everybody was getting upset about, you know, some like political stuff. And the one thing I was realizing, I was like, bro, I'm realizing that everybody is like ignorant, not just on like one side as a Republican, but like on the Democratic side too. Like, there's like ignorance on every side. And I'm like, and this is something I also talked about before. I'm just like, why is it that we're part of the American political system because we get to vote, but we're not taught how the American political system works? So it's like, yo, what is going on here? Like, they want us to make the wrong decisions, like, because they're not teaching us it, or like, what's going on, you know? So, but that's, there's a whole big conversation you can have about that. This is just, Jason in his head being a conspiracy theorist. I guess it's not a conspiracy, it's the truth. But
No, that's like that's critical thinking skills. Like that's not a conspiracy. You're really thinking critically about what's happening, and it makes sense. It makes sense.
Mhm. So I think that definitely some changes need to be made. And all right, I don't know where to go next with this because I got a little, I'm like sweating because of how hard I'm thinking right now. I don't know where I want to go next with this. All right,
Not
all right.
sweating.
Shit. I guess we can move on. Obviously, there's a lot of stuff in education. And I love, so now you are being a science educator. So what does that mean for you? Like what is it that you want to do to teach people about science and everything that you're trying to do?
So I'm learning more and more, especially this year, about what that means for me, because I'm realizing that if I try to model myself at, in terms of my presence as a science communicator, if I try to model that after what I've seen, it doesn't really fit, like I definitely don't want to be that person who's just spitting facts on the internet to you about random topics, and that's just how I do it. Like I refuse to be that. I'm more of a community oriented scientist and
Okay.
educator, meaning that like I like to have conversations with people around me, and I like to learn about people. I'm very people oriented. um and I like to make connections with people, and then I like to talk about science. So like if you follow me on social media, I do talk about science, but even more than that, I am a relationship builder in the science community. And I do that with genuine intentions. Like I genuinely do want to know how everybody's doing today, and like I genuinely do want to talk about if air is a salad or not,
Yeah, I seen that.
I seen that, yeah.
That's what I want to talk about. And like, but also in having those conversations, like we can turn it into something scientific. Like,
Mm-hmm.
if I want to show off my clothes that I just bought,
That was fire. I love that,
right?
bro.
I gave a fashion show, and I was like, well, shoot, I actually got to do this outfit next. But I made a fashion show, and I was like, hey, for every outfit, let's talk about a scientific element that looks like my outfit. And
Mm-hmm.
people learned a lot that day. I learned a lot because I invited other people to join the conversation and tell me something that I didn't know, or like share a fact that they knew that they thought was interesting. And some people are really passionate about like these really like obscure things, but and they've been probably waiting to talk about these things, but have never really had those opportunities. So and I think in the research that I've done, like as a doctoral student, I've understood the importance of community,
Mm-hmm.
and specifically like the importance of a sense of belonging. And forming a community is a way to implement a sense of belonging. And a sense of belonging can keep people interested in what's going on, and keep people like in a certain place if they feel like they belong there. And I want people to feel like they belong in science, whether they grew up that way or not. So that's, for me, that's what it means to be an educator right now. And you know I not only teach science to people, but I also teach people how to talk about science. And I mean, we can even tie that into how me and MC Hammer got connected. Um, I mean, I know you mentioned it earlier. I don't want to get too off track, but like I will say
There's no
for
off track
now,
here.
one of the oh
It's like a messy
one of the
room.
reasons right. Okay, cool. But MC Hammer and I got connected because um he posted something online. Are you guys aware of the drama that happened with MC Hammer?
No, I'm not sure. I'm sorry.
No.
Oh, okay. So this is new to y'all. So science Twitter can be dramatic sometimes, right?
Okay.
Yeah. And so
Okay.
often it's dramatic because people have clashes of opinions,
Yeah.
and people's egos get in the way, and nobody wants to back down, and it becomes, a public issue. So here's what happened. MC Hammer put up it's like a GIF, right, of an eyeball, but it wasn't a real eyeball. It was a computer generated like image of an eye, and a close up of it. It wasn't real, but it was like a close up of like fibers in the eye moving around, and it looked really mystical and magical, and it wasn't real. And MC Hammer knew that. He knew it wasn't real. From his perspective, he's been extremely successful. Obviously, you know, he's got multiple hits, timeless hits that we still use today. It's been like, you know, 30 years since he's dropped these hits, and we still have them in commercials. So he's really like a legend. And he's earned so much money. A lot of people don't understand that he's been using his money very wisely and investing in different places. He's like a technology kind of like, I wouldn't say a mogul, but like he's very knowledgeable about science and technology. He's been investing in he's been investing in these in this space for a while, and he's very knowledgeable. So when he posted that image of the eye, he, in his mindset, he was thinking of like computers, right? Because that's what he's thinking about. He thinks about tech and science a lot. And so he posted the image like, oh, wow, like this is a cool computer design, right? Like, look how much it looks like an eyeball. It's really smart designer or whatever. What he wrote said, wow, definite, and this is not verbatim, but like, he said, wow, this is definitely like a case for intelligent design. And intelligent design means something completely different than what he was trying to say, because intelligent design for science is a movement. It's an anti-science movement that, you know what, I should Google this real quick. I don't want to say this the wrong way. Hold on.
Go ahead. Because I know I've heard this too, but I can't remember what it is either. Intelligent design.
So intelligent design is a pseudoscientific argument for the existence of God presented by its proponents as an evidence-based scientific theory about life's origins. But so there's an intelligent design movement though. And that was the key issue, was that there's a movement within intelligent design of people who like deny like traditional science, I guess, and like try to discredit science or scientists. And I'm not really knowledgeable about it, but what I do know is that it was not MC Hammer's intention to associate with that movement. So when he put it online, him having been in like, if you notice, he's been retweeting a whole lot of science stuff. I don't know if you guys follow him.
I know. I saw he tweeted about Marie Curie the other day, and I was like, "Oh, damn, bro! This dude knows, bro. What the hell?"
No, he goes hard for science. Like he posts about science like just about every day, like multiple posts. He be linking like scientific journals and stuff. Like he's heavy in it.
Wow.
And so him having this public interest in science, he's attracted a lot of people in the science community. And so a lot of people in the science community are following him on Twitter, and they saw that post and they were like, oh, you know, so you basically, they roasted him. They tore him apart, thinking that he was identifying with this movement, that, you know, he was basically just trying to talk about computer design, and people took it the wrong way. So, but he didn't tell people that, because as soon as he put it up, it was a whole bunch of scientists going in the comments like, you're stupid, take this down. This doesn't make sense. You know, like, God isn't real. Like, he was getting attacked. He was getting attacked for like, and he is a spiritual person though, that's the thing. So it's like, he's getting attacked for something he didn't really say, but at the same time, they're attacking things that he does believe in though. Like he does believe in, he is spiritual. So he's like, I didn't sign up for this. I don't know why y'all are over here attacking me, you know, for my spirituality, like, you know, whatever, but this has nothing to do with that. He didn't tell people it had nothing to do with that. He was just like, okay, so y'all want to fight? Like, okay, like, let's fight. he was going back and forth with these scientists, and like I was reading these comments, and it was so upsetting to me that so many members of our science community were so like gung-ho and ready to take authority over a grown ass man, okay, that they don't know, and try to tell him right from wrong without even taking the time to get to know
His perspective.
first of all, right, his perspective. What the fuck do you even mean? Like nobody had that question, right? Everybody was just ready to attack, and they did. And so Jason and Victor, would you believe that out of the hundreds of responses to this man's tweet, I was like the only one to say, hey, I don't understand this. Like, I was like, I would love to learn more. Like, do you mind sharing more about your religion and how, you know, it intersects with your science beliefs? Like, I would love to learn more. And he was like, yeah, here's my number. I was like,
that's it? Wow.
That's it. All because like I mean, I don't know why he gave me his number, to be honest, but like I do know I was the only, if not, you know, one of very few people who recognized the person behind the screen and remembered that this is an actual person that y'all are trying to cuss out. Why don't we ask him about his opinions, like, instead of attacking him without asking any questions? And so he and I got on the phone. We talked that night for an hour and a half, like an hour and a half. And we would just talk. We talked about pretty much everything. And like, he's a really down to earth dude. And like, people totally like wrote him off after that tweet. To this day, like if you mention MC Hammer, some people still roll their eyes and they're like, oh, you know, he doesn't like, he's like, you know, anti-science and he uses science to promote his religious agenda. I'm like, but you didn't ask him. Like, you didn't ask him what he meant, you know? And so like, and I didn't acknowledge this publicly. I'm doing it on this podcast, but like, I didn't write anything on Twitter because like defending him, because basically he's a savage. Like he's like, okay, you know, if anybody wants to keep fighting me, like fuck it, you know, I'm the hammer, I'm gonna bring the hammer, like what's up? And I'm like, okay. Like, okay, I'm like, I asked him, I was like, is there anything I can do for you? Like, do you want me to clear this up and tell people that you didn't really mean what you said? He was like, no,
just let him be.
These people, I got this. Yeah. And so, I mean, he's a really cool dude, and he's been super supportive of me and like retweeting my events, and like when I get awards, he's kind of like an internet dad, I feel like, or internet uncle. He's real cool. And so that's that was a really long story, but like I told it because we have such a long way to go in science culture, like to promote diversity. And a part of that is just how we talk to each other and how we literally communicate with one another, and teaching people to be mindful, especially when you have people who have different mindsets, different worldviews. Like you have to be really careful how you are trying to express your scientific views to people who are different from you, because you could ultimately turn people completely off to science, because they'll remember that one time they talk to a rude ass scientist and they're like, okay, well, fuck this. You know, why should I listen to science? Why should I be a part of that? Because they all uppity and only want to talk to people who know what is going on. You know what I'm saying? Like, so that's where I'm at.
No, I think that's really cool, because I like you like you said, I think there's a lot of ego in science, you know. It's like I want to be the smartest, I want to be, you know, the person that, you know, that with all the information and all this. So then when somebody says something wrong, people are quick to like correct them. But the funny thing is, like, you probably don't know everything anyway, bro. So like if you said something wrong, it would be the same thing towards you. So I feel like it's crazy that, you know, the science is literally about being curious and finding things out for yourself, right? But when somebody's finding something out for themselves, sometimes people are like mad rude about it and like, oh, you're dumb because you don't know that. Like nadie nace, you know, with everything in their head. Like you don't learn, you're not born with all this information inside of you. So like, why do
You
you
learn it,
expect
you
them?
learn it, you learn
Yeah,
it.
and like you said, like you were saying too, about having a community about, you know, about science. Like one, you know, I want to comment on that. That's really beautiful because, you know, I always take it like, you know, science educators, like I know you know Han Green too, and Han Green is like, you know, he did the crash course, and you know, crash course literally changed my life because I learned so many things through crash course. I love crash course myself, so it's like, you know,
Jason put me onto Crash Course, and it's
yeah. So
fucking
like
awesome.
I expected you for something like that, but I think the you building a community of people, like, you know, able to talk about what they want to talk about is way more like effective and more productive to what it is that we need in this world. You know, there's a lot of information about science, you can read it anywhere, but there's not really somewhere you can like actively talk about how you feel about certain things, what you think, you know. So I think that's beautiful because, you know, like us too, like our message is like a messy room, life can be all over the place and no thought is too crazy, because we want to build a community where it's not just about science, but, you know, if you feel a certain way about anything, you know, anything, you should be able to talk about it and have somebody hear what your perspective is, because that's the only way we learn, bro. You know, you learn from each other. And if you're able to, you know, feel comfortable enough to tell me everything you're thinking, and I can feel comfortable enough to like give you my response, give you my feedback, and know at the end of the conversation we're not going to hate each other. That's, you know,
Yeah.
how we make productive conversation, productive learning, and we could all get on the same page. Like again, you know, I don't want to keep bringing up the politics and everything. Like politics is a great example of that. You know, people have a certain view and another certain view, and they can't talk about it, like, just because we're not in the same page, bro.
You're
Like,
picking teams, bro. You're picking teams, bro.
yeah, it's literally, I hear so much, oh, politics is that one thing you can't talk about. And I'm like, why not? Politics is literally about, you know, what's going on around us and us as a community. It's literally made to be a communal thing. And it's like something we can't talk about just because of the different views. So, you know, it's kind of weird to me that there's no community, sense of community in certain things. So I think that's beautiful that you're trying to do that, grow a community where everybody can talk about science and everything like that. And on top of that, I just want to make one comment, bro. You, like, I seen when you posted about when NASA like found the water on the moon. Like I was
Wait.
that shit, one that's fucking crazy, bro. Like I literally, how long everybody said, yo, there's no water on the moon, all of a sudden they're finding water on the moon.
This dude called me just to tell me. Literally called me just to tell me that.
Yo,
I was like,
I was
hello?
calling people too. I was calling people. They were like, "How much water?" I was like, "Molecules, bro." But like, you know,
yeah,
it's
like,
up there.
dude, that's crazy, bro. Like the fact that there is enough to build that water there on the atmosphere there, and there's like the right conditions, that's crazy. You know, there could be something more coming from that, you know. But like, I love that when you talked about it, you first posted it about it in English, and then, you know, lo hiciste en español también. So para todas las personas que también hablan español, tienen interés en la ciencia, pueden, you know, ir a donde se puede hablar de la ciencia con alguien que habla español también. So,
This
para
man
mí,
got a lot in the chamber, bro.
yeah,
Yo!
so para mí, ¿por qué hiciste la decisión de hablar de la ciencia no solo en inglés, pero también en español? You can answer in English or Spanish, it's up to you.
I mean, no hay problema, you know. Sea lo que sea. Okay, let's do it. Mi español, you know, yo estoy practicando, pero, you know, estoy tratando de
Siempre, yeah.
mejorarlo poco a poco, you know,
Hey,
ya te sabes.
yo soy hispano, pero también yo me hago, like, se me hace difícil porque a veces no practico porque todos hablan inglés en mi casa. So, you know, se
Yo
me va
también.
a veces. But yeah, go ahead.
Sí. Yeah, I mean, gotta go into Spanish mode. Yo creo que es importante compartir espacio con la gente quien, like, no, like, the people that you don't normally interact with, but like, I think that it's not as hard to close the gap as we think. Like, I pienso que, you know, hay cositas que que podemos hacer para cerrar
Mhm.
the gap, right? You
Mhm.
know, just talking to each other, right? And like showing that it's okay to not speak English. Like it is
Yeah.
okay. It's okay to do both, you know, and that's normal. A lot of us do that. I did that for a good part of my life, and once I got to college, you know, I stopped. But you know, I'm also not afraid to admit, like, hey, my Spanish is not perfect. Y'all can roast me, but like I'ma still try.
Mhm.
You know, I'ma still try because I also don't want to give the impression that we have to be perfect. And I was really surprised to see um how many people, you know, um people who speak Spanish or like Latino people, Hispanic people who are like, yeah, I was kind of ashamed to admit like my Spanish isn't that great. And thank you for kind of putting yourself out there and saying, you know, your Spanish is whack. And I'm like, yo, I had no idea that that was a problem in the community. You know,
Yeah.
I think I really took for granted that like Latinos just be knowing Spanish, but like some of y'all really don't,
No,
really don't.
No.
it's like I don't want to say we're whitewashed, but like, you know, we're living in this community where everybody speaks English. It kind of just goes away for me. Like, like when I go to like my family's from Honduras. When I go to Honduras,
Really?
yeah. When I go to
Oh
Honduras
wow.
and I go see my family, all my family only speaks Spanish. That's when you'll hear me talking like a pro, because that's when I get my practice. And you'll be like, oh, damn, this kid's Spanish. But, you know, when I'm here, I haven't been to Honduras in now 3 years. So basically, I haven't spoke Spanish for 3 years. And I could already barely speak English. So imagine now a language I barely speak. I'm always struggling though.
Nah, what gets me is my mom knows English, but she talks to me in Spanish, and so I talk to her in English. You got me? It's like I'll be like, so ma, what you cook? Oh, cocina esto, that. And it's like, all right, yeah, this is how it is, bro. So I understand it. When it comes out, it's like my words get stuck, bro. It's like, I just don't want to come out. Oh man.
Yeah, I'm definitely the same way exactly. And my brother is actually Honduran. We have different fathers, but his family is from Honduras. They speak Garifuna language.
Oh, okay.
Um,
So he's from the coast then, right?
hmm
Yeah.
So I've never actually no, I have been to Honduras. What am I saying? I've been over there, but I haven't been like inland to.
Yeah.
I've only been on the coast.
Yeah, my family's literally from the center, bro, like right in the middle of Honduras. So
Is that Tegucigalpa? Is that
yeah,
the?
that's my brother's from. My brother grew up in Tegucigalpa. My dad grew up in Juticalpa. It's like a different county there. And it's kind of like a city. It's like a city. It's crazy because you go over there, it doesn't look like a normal city, but it kind of does look like a normal city. So it's like weird over there. But then my grandma lives in like an aldea that's like, you know, that's like country, bro. It's in San Luis. It's like it's only like 10 people in the whole community, only like 10 houses down one street.
10
And then it's
people.
just a bunch of farmland, bro. Like literally, that's how it is. It's just a bunch of farmland, it's pretty cool. But not. But I'm saying like when I seen like the first time you posted about something in Spanish was like when you had the
The
balls,
two balls.
the
Yeah,
two
yeah.
balls.
Oh yeah, yeah.
And you were like, oh, which one do you think would float and which do you think would sink, right? I first seen it in English, and then I like, you know, I was scrolling through Twitter again, and I seen you posted in Spanish, and I was like, oh damn, she speaks Spanish. And then like when you did this, when you said about NASA and finding out about water, and you said it in Spanish again, I was like, bro, all right, so like what is she trying to do with this? And now now I'm getting to talk to you, and I hear you're just trying to build the community. I'm like, all right, not only you trying to build the community for, you know, people that look, you know, Black people that don't feel comfortable in the science community, but on top of that, people is like Spanish people that don't feel comfortable in the scientific community. Like you know, we all have opinions on what's going on, and we all learn about this stuff. So like we should all be able to talk about it. And like you said, I think it's like not that far to close the gap. Like Google Translate, bro. Anybody can find something out just easily. Just, you know, I say it in English and then put Google Translate and go in Spanish, and you're good, bro.
Yeah, and I put up a post a while ago, and I said, you know, I introduced this thing that I just want to let people know, hey, I'm about to be posting stuff in Spanish. I didn't want to catch people off guard, like, what the fuck is she doing? Like I made a post, and I was like intentionally letting people know, like, hey guys, I was actually raised speaking 2 languages. I'm not really that good at it anymore. I'm really trying to get it back. Some of my posts are going to be in 2 languages. And I invited people. I was like, please, if you speak Spanish, I wrote this all in Spanish. I was like, if you speak Spanish, please only write in Spanish on my post. Like, I'm really trying. And people have been doing that. And I love seeing like people who, it's kind of annoying sometimes, I'm not gonna lie, but like people who don't know Spanish really trying to speak Spanish like to the Spanish speakers in my post, because they saw me post that first post where I was like, hey, if you could speak Spanish, like please speak it to me. And like I can see these bridges forming of like people recognizing Spanish is like accepted in science, and like let's bring more Spanish language in the science community. I learned that a lot of Spanish scientists, Spanish speaking scientists rather, don't know a lot of scientific words in Spanish.
Really?
And yeah, I learned that. And some people that I was talking to online were saying that they come like from different countries and Spanish speaking countries, and had to learn English exclusively to become a scientist in America. And like not just because not just because we speak science in America, but because science is taught in English. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like all of our scientific journals are predominantly in English, right?
Yeah.
So if you want to really be a heavy hitter and have a really good science education at that higher level, you have to learn English, and that's a barrier. So I'm like, well, damn, why don't we learn Spanish? Shit, like let's start normalizing Spanish. And I'm very careful about the way I do this because I'm not Latina, but like, I was raised in a Spanish immersion school for a good chunk of my life, and my brother is Latino and his family is, and like I feel very a part of that culture. Is not necessarily a part of my identity, but like I do identify with the culture, and I do identify that like the culture is important, and like it's a great thing. It's a beautiful culture. It's so diverse too, and the language is beautiful. And like, why aren't we? I think Latinos are the most abundant minority at this point in the U.S.
I think it's like 18%, and then like Black people are 13%.
Yeah. So like, what are we doing? Like, why are we not doing more Spanish? This is just, it's embarrassing at this point. It's really embarrassing. So I'm also like, I want to shine a light on more Spanish speaking science communicators. Like, I recognize it's not my job to be doing this, but I want to help. But at the same time, as I'm helping, I want to like highlight people from the Latin community. Hey, these are some like Latina scientists that you can look at, so you don't have to listen to me talking like the worst Spanish that I can. Like, there's other people out here who are from your communities doing this work. Like, let's also uplift them so that you can have role models in them as well. So it's been really interesting. Like, it's something new to me, and I'm glad it's being received well.
Yeah. No, I'm telling you, I when I first seen it, I was hyped, bro. I was like, yo, this is what we need, bro.
I got another phone call. Did you see that post? She speaks Spanish, bro.
I'm telling you, I've been talking about you for like months, because it's like, the scientific community. Like, again, there's a lot of ego, and it feels like people don't fit in. It's just like it's like a beautiful thing. It's supposed to be beautiful. Like, the idea of science and like performance science, and not just in like, the hard sciences like chemistry, physics, and all this stuff, but like the social sciences, like, psychology, sociology, and all this, and like, all that other stuff. Like, it's like supposed to be a beautiful thing about questioning stuff, trying to break things down into little things. And like, scientists are always asking the same question over and over and over again, maybe just with a little thing. Like, the idea of the scientific community is supposed to be beautiful, and it should be bringing people together, and it just doesn't. It's just like the way it's being portrayed right now, it just doesn't feel like welcoming at all. So like, having a face of you, somebody that I feel more comfortable. And like, obviously I've never not felt comfortable talking about science. I literally, like, the joke and from senior year, bro, I like said something. I was like, oh, yo, I was like learning about friction, and like I like, yo, chill, bro. literally, it was like
Oh,
we
shit.
were learning about friction. And then we went to a basketball game, and I was like, "Yo, isn't it crazy? Like the way they make shoes, they like try and look for a higher coefficient of friction so that they can make
Whoa!
the cuts and turns really quick, bro." And then like now, every joke, bro, yo, shut your friction ass up, bro. When I'm talking about science, like, dude, like. So I'm not, and I don't care. Like I'm like, all right, I don't care. Like I'm just trying to like, and they even the other joke is explícamelo, because like whenever something like happens, I try to explain why that happened. So it's now they're like, yo, just explain it to me, and I'm like, it's just I personally I'm trying to spread the love for like learning. It's not just about science, but a love for learning out to the community. So people like you,
Yo,
I'm telling you, you're a role model to me because I want to be like you, to like uplift science in the community, make people more interested in science, so like you're a role model to me, and having somebody like you, I feel more comfortable doing what I'm doing. So I'm happy that you're doing what you're doing because it feels great.
Jason, I'm sorry for the jokes, bro.
There's no apology. I told you I don't catch feelings, bro. I'm always pretty secure. I'm pretty secure about who I am, bro. You're gonna make fun of me, bro. I'm just trying to open your eyes as to what the hell's going on around you. Like literally, bro, the way they make shoes is science, bro. Literally, the way they make shoes
funny, bro.
is down to science, bro. So like, I'm trying to show you guys so you can, I feel like if you're ignorant to it, you just living life, bro, and you can find some stuff out that will help you live your life better. I don't know. That's just how I look at it, bro.
Nah, you're awesome. You're awesome, bro. Shut your friction ass up. I haven't said that in a while. That shit was.
What do you mean? You probably
me
said that
guard.
shit like last week, bro.
No, I didn't, bro. Give me like a month, bro. That's funny, bro.
All right. So, moving on. So I seen that you've been in cahoots with my man Hank Green, bro. The one that's been, that man changed my life, because for me, when I first started learning about philosophy is when I took my love for science.
I have a question real quick. Is philosophy a science?
Philosophy is not technically a science, but I kind of take it as a science. But I take everything as science.
Because
what
like
do you think,
it's
Raven?
kind of different, right?
I don't know. I can't. This argument is the social sciences versus hard sciences or natural, whatever. Like I can't get into it because it's too deep.
Yeah. I mean, again, for me personally, I think that science is more than just like how chemistry works. Like chemistry, physics, and all that. I think science is more like a way you think. It's like just breaking things down into little arguments and trying to build it back up from those little things. Like that's how I take science, and just asking questions a lot. But so Hank Green was the one that opened my eyes to philosophy, and I moved away, and that's when I started applying my science, like how I think about science, away from just about like actual science, like chemistry and all that, to like more stuff. Like I even apply it to like business, bro. I apply it to how literally I say my biggest project is myself. I'm trying to engineer myself. I've been trying to take data of myself, like when I find the most productive hours, because I'm an engineer and I'm trying to engineer myself. But whatever, anyway. So you've been talking with Hank Green, and I know you are trying to make a show called Nerdy Jobs. So can you talk a little bit about that?
Yes. So I'm so excited, and I can't. It's coming out very soon. It's sooner than you would expect. And I'll be able to share more later. But Nerdy Jobs is a show. It's my show, my creation. I'm hosting the show, I'm writing the show, and I'm also, producing the show, executive producing it. And it is going to be on a major platform. And the premise of the show is me being, myself, me, Raven, going around and working with other STEM professionals and learning about what their jobs are. And I'm doing that while having fun and answering questions about things that I'm curious about in the world. And I'm shadowing them. And, sometimes the jobs are gross. Sometimes the jobs are like, they're all over the place, but I'm gonna be laughing, learning, crying, and like just trying everything. And I'm really excited about it. I cannot even express how excited I am about the show. And I just wish I could share more. At this point, I guess that's all I can say.
Oh, all right. Nah, I mean,
know
I think.
Hank is I talked to Hank too. Me and Hank had like a similarly long conversation like as me and MC Hammer. Those both of those conversations were interesting, but like Hank and I talked for a while, and he actually funded the pilot for my show. Like he gave me enough money so I could film the first episode of the show, and I'm really grateful for that. Like, you know, he didn't have to do that, and like he kind of just came out of nowhere and was like, you know what, you have a great idea. All of this started from Twitter, by the way. I just put out a tweet in June on my birthday, I think, and like I was like, oh, let me try to get this TV show, and like I just tweeted something. It's like, this would be a good birthday gift. I told everybody, I said, I have this idea for a show. I said what the show was, and I was like, I promise, like I'm not gonna let you down. It's gonna be really entertaining, and it like went super viral. Everybody totally believed in me and thought that this would be a really entertaining show. And Hank caught wind of it, and some other like heavy hitters in the support and like just connections and trying to get me to a place where this could be a reality. And so Hank, put his money where his mouth was, and he was like, here you go, I don't care what you do with this money, but you better make something good. And I was like, okay.
Oh, damn, bro.
And that was before I even had, my show deal isn't through Hank. Like Hank actually doesn't have anything to do with the show, which is
really?
Yeah.
He just gave you it just to give it? That's awesome.
Just gave me the money. He was like, here, huh? And I'm like, huh, okay. That was super dope. Like I hope to be that person one day. You know what I'm saying? Like to bless somebody like that. That was great. Like I couldn't even believe it. I was like, what? On the phone, like, nah, you gotta be kidding me. But yeah, he gave me some tips on how to kind of get my feet on the ground and get a good start in the industry. And yeah, like I'll never forget it. It's just super impactful moment. And he's actually coming on my talk show in what's today? 3 weeks, I think. On the
Stembessy?
20th.
Stembessy,
Yes,
yeah.
coming on Stembessy on the 22nd. So look out for that. He'll be on.
Okay. Look out for that. I mean, all right. Now I guess we could transition into Stembessy now too, since we already started talking about it. Yo, I'm telling you, one thing. You do a lot. You do a lot.
A question I have is with the PhD and the Stembessy and the show. Like, what does your day look like on a daily basis?
Like my days are busy. They're really busy. I do a lot, but I also quit my job earlier this year. So like a couple months ago, I actually was able to quit my job, and that was kind of on a leap of faith. I didn't really have much of a plan other than like, I feel the energy and where things are going for me, and I know I need to dedicate this time and this energy into my craft and what I do and like what I'm passionate about. And I really didn't know like, where's this money gonna come from? Like, how am I gonna live, right?
Yeah,
Luckily,
yeah.
I'm married. Like, I got a whole dude. Like, very supportive. I would not be able to do this without him. I shout out to all the partners in the world holding it down.
Shout out to all the partners in the world.
Shout out to the partners, bro. Like they really do hold it down. He's awesome. Love you, Taylor. But I quit my job, and like, he was like, I'm gonna hold it down for you, figure it out. And he's like, I got faith in you. So
that's all you need, bro.
That's all you need. It's crazy. But luckily, like, since I did that, and since I had time to, full-time, like I'm actually a full-time PhD student, but I'm at the dissertation stage right now. I'm finished my classwork. And so my day-to-day, I try to budget my time so that I'm hitting milestones with my research. I kind of treat that as a paycheck. Like, even though I'm not getting paid, I treat it as a job. Like, you know, if I don't meet these deadlines, I'm gonna get fired, you know. Um, and that's important to me, to just put that pressure on myself, because, you know, everybody says this, and I was told this before I started my PhD, and I was just like, oh, y'all are tripping. But like, once you get to the dissertation stage, it's really all on you. Like, it's all on you. Nobody's screaming down your back like, oh, you know, you got to get this work done. Like, it's really on you to set aside the time to write that thing and do the research, because your advisor might not even care. Like, you know, you're really on your own. So I put that pressure on myself to get that done. And then the rest of my day, like, my number one priority is like staying in a positive mindset, especially this year. You know,
Yeah.
I really do my best to stay positive, and like building communities online, and like listening to what people need in the community, and how can I use my skills and talents to address some of these needs. And um like being really understanding of what my mission is, in bridging the gap in science, um and making bridges between communities in science, you know, and how can I do this in different ways, and STEMBACY is one of them. And I know it seems like a lot, but when you are really like operating in your passion, it kind of is just like, you know, walking on water. Like, it's just,
You're
you
just
know, that
flowing.
sounds crazy. Yeah, no, not walking on water, because that sounds like I'm trying to be Jesus, which I'm not. But like flowing, you know, it's like it's so easy when you really are doing what you feel like you're meant to do. It doesn't feel like a job. It doesn't feel stressful. And even if you're working into midnight, you know, up all day, up all night, you feel like fulfilled, and like it's rewarding, because you don't feel like you're wasting away like at your desk, or, you know, working a 9 to 5, which I totally respect. I definitely did that, my share of that. But I really feel better giving back to the community, and like working hard to do that, even if I'm not sure of if I'm going to get paid or not. Like, I would rather just live my life doing that instead.
Mm,
That's beautiful. That's beautiful.
that is
Us here in the mess room, we think very similar. We want to chase our dreams. We're always telling people chase your dreams. Like whenever I hop on the mic, it's like I get like this, like I'm like, you know what I mean? I get hyped, and it's like since I was a little kid, I've always wanted to do this, and it's like a thing where like this is what I want to do. I want to learn and talk to people and just get to know things and learn for myself to tell other people. You know what I mean? Just to have conversation. I always say have conversations that will change the world. That and I don't know. I think me and Jason do pretty good.
Yeah.
Pretty good at what the stage we're at now. It's awesome, and I completely agree. When you're doing something you love, it's easy breezy.
That's facts, bro. For me, I mean, this definitely is something I have fun with, because like like, for example, this is the perfect example of one of the episodes that I've been like thinking about for a long time, and I finally got to where it is, and it's like going exactly how I wanted it to go. I'm not gonna lie, this is like perfect, bro. Like, I'm just having fun, obviously, talking, you know, about important things. One, about science, something that I love, that I've loved my whole life. And now I'm at, you know, now we're at a place where we could just, you know, teach people, you know, like some people might not have the perspective that Raven has. So being able to hear from her might open their eyes to something crazy. So that's like kind of like what the podcast has become for me. It's not just about, you know, trying to grow, you know, be the biggest, whatever, but it's really more about, you know, like, for, you know, you're bridging gaps to communities for people in science. I'm trying to bridge gaps for people that, you know, if you're ignorant to something, stop being ignorant.
That don't know, right?
Yeah,
bro.
like there's so many things in this world that are like, you know, they're like getting you from behind without you knowing it, because you are just you're ignorant to it. So when I find something out, the first thing I try to do is come here, be like, yo, I just thought about this, bro. Like, yo, you guys what do you guys think about this? And, you know, it's like, especially conversation just helps ignorance go away like crazy. I mean, especially not always, because there is definitely like counterproductive conversation. If people are just arguing to argue, that's counterproductive. But I think what we do here is just like try to, you know, be open-minded, think freely, be yourself. And, you know, that's when you get, you know, a productive, you know, conversation that actually gets to where you want it to get.
Yeah, it's also a thing where like we don't even have to agree. Like like there's times where me and you don't agree, Jay, but there's times we don't agree with the guests. But it's still like a thing where it's not like I'm like, get off my show, yeah, you're not, you know what I mean? It's like a thing like, all right, well, what do you mean by that? And we dive into it, and then at the end we're like, oh, that shit was fucking awesome. That shit was great. No, it's
so I definitely agree. Doing something that you love is not working a day in your life for sure. Like the quote is true. The quote is true. So now, all right. So now we can get into what you're doing with STEMbassy, because that's another beautiful thing. You have a whole panel of people that you do the show with. Like it's 5 people, right? And you got and you guys bring a guest on from the scientific community and just talk science. And I remember which episode, which was the one I was watching, and you said, oh, I by the end of this you'll probably be thinking about something crazy, and you'll learn something from this. And I was like, bro, that's what I try to do with this, with our show too. So, you know, there's like a little parallel right there. But, you know, talk a little bit about what STEMbassy is and what it means to you.
Yeah, like, you know, with the STEMbassy was started this year in February, and I started it on my own originally, and I did it because, you know, I saw the pandemic coming, and it was before we had been put on lockdown in New York, you know, which was the one of the first places, and I just knew that this was going to be bad. Like nobody was saying it was going to be bad, but as a scientist, you know, I understand microbiology. I understand how viruses work, and like, you know, I knew exactly what was going to happen this year, which is probably why I'm not so sad. But like, I also felt a strong duty to make myself publicly available because I knew what was happening, and I wanted to, and I recognized, like, you know, right off the bat, you know, I could see what was going on with climate change and how scientists have been screaming from the rooftop, you know, we got to do X, Y, and Z, you know, let's get on board. Come on, corporations, like, let's go. Come on. We don't got that much time. Like, we've been hyping this up for a year, like decades at this point, literally decades. It's quiet. Like we, you know, we got movements going on that are very meaningful, and action is happening, and we have seen some changes, but people are still denying it, you know, denying science. And so I knew that in the case of a pandemic, it was not going to be anything different. You know, the public attitude towards science is very, it could be better. You know?
I think it's crazy. I think it's crazy because it's kind of like, you know, science literally, the idea of science is everything's based off of facts. But it's like people think that science is like opinion or something like that. Like if you know, global warming is global warming is the thing. Nah.
Like a choice. It's like a choice you could have.
Like, no, that's not true. Like, what do you mean it's not true? It's like literally based off of facts, bro. Literally observations of what's going on in the world, and like putting everything together to understand like what is happening right now. And somehow it's still like, nah. Like, what are you trying to say?
That's what I'm saying. So yeah, like I started STEMbassy because I realized it was going to be really important in the weeks and the months, you know, moving forward from February, that there is a publicly available, you know, scientists, especially scientists of color, to break these barriers between like science and the community. And like I was just like, you know, shoot, let me just hop on live and start talking to people. And I, you know, me being who I am, I didn't want it to just be me. I wanted to bring other people into the conversation, and like, let's have an open dialogue and invite a live audience to join in and to ask questions in real time and to speak about things that they're passionate about. Because, you know, we can get a whole bunch of scientists in the room. We talk about our own things, and it could be completely different from what the, you know, the general community wants to hear about. So I definitely wanted to add them in the conversation as well. And it just so turns out that like the people that I was inviting on my show were super passionate about it. And like the people who are permanent hosts on STEMbassy now are also past guests of STEMbassy. Like it's kind of a miracle how that worked out, because these are people from the first two shows I had became permanent guests on the show, and they've literally been working tirelessly, like, to make sure the show is successful. I'm talking about like writing scripts, coming up with, questions, ideas.
Mm.
We got a graphic designer now who volunteers for our show. We have like a science writer who's getting ready to like do her thing on the show, in addition to the 5 hosts that we have as recurring and permanent hosts. Um, and like we've been able to bring in heavy hitters in the public science industry, I guess I could say, like science communicators and STEM people who are ambassadors to STEM. And we really do focus on bringing on people who also have social initiatives. So like, for example, we're not just going to bring on an engineer. We want to bring on an engineer who, it believes in a cause and is actively fighting for a cause. Whether it be STEM related or not, we want to normalize like people in science being connected with their communities and being leaders in their communities. And we worked really hard last season. We had our season 1. It went from like February to June, and we grinded, and it's like our motivation was like, okay, season 2, we want to bring on some like even more heavy hitters. We want to have a celebrity lineup. Like, come on, let's go. And so we do have a celebrity lineup. Like, we started off the season with Emily Calandrelli, who is the space gal on online, but she has a Netflix show called Emily's Wonder Lab, and it's very popular with the kids. Is doing very well, and she was already successful. She's an author of like a book series called Ada Lace Goes to Space or something, or like the Ada Lace series. It's a series of books about a girl named Ada Lace, and she does like science things. And so she was already successful. Now she has this Netflix show, and hoping to get a second season from that. And she was our first guest, and we kicked it off with her, and I feel like every week, like, we just level up, and we're ending with Hank Green, who's just like the pinnacle of the pinnacle of what we are trying to do here. Yeah. And so this coming Sunday we have Darian Wen. He is Lab Shenanigans. You probably seen his videos, like he does like really funny TikTok videos about science. But if you don't know about Darian, definitely look him up, Darian Wen.
Darian Wen.
Okay. I'm not really on TikTok, so
yeah, no, he's really funny. Like, Jason, I know you're gonna enjoy the TikTok.
Okay.
I know.
Get TikTok, bro. I don't know why you're waiting, bro.
Bro, I already spend a lot of time on social media, bro. I'm trying
to get TikTok, bro. It's for business, bro.
Okay.
Yeah. Listen, if I'm on TikTok, you can do it too. Okay, you can do it. But yeah, like, I'm really proud of where it's going, and I'm looking forward to see where it goes in the future. This year, I'm glad we had a shorter season this year, because this year's been long and challenging. But like season 3, shoot, I don't know. We trying to get a sponsor. We trying to level up. Let's see.
There you go. Love to see it. I think that's something beautiful, man. I guess we're running out of time, so I'm gonna just pop off some science questions. So, we've been talking about like science in general, like, so I'm gonna try to, bring it down. So one thing, especially like applying to how, COVID and everything right now. So, we have like the protocols right now is like social distance, wearing masks, sanitize, and everything like that. So what scientifically makes that work? Like, why is it that those things are in place, that they made that decision to put those things in place, and why does it work to stop, like, to slow the spread of corona?
Well, we have been learning a lot about the virus this past year, and we started about the end of December, not knowing December last year. We've heard of the virus, we know there's an issue coming up, and from that point we started around the world trying to work to identify what's going on, and like a lot of data has come out. And as far as like how the virus spreads, we know it spreads in little droplets that form when you talk, when you cough, when you sneeze. They come out of your mouth and your nose, and they spread through those droplets. And so it's important for us to wear a facial covering that covers your mouth and your nose so that we can stop the spread of those droplets, and keep them contained to, your person. And then hand sanitizer works to break down the actual virus particles and the virus itself into, it basically dissolves it, I guess you could say, breaks it down so that it can become inactivated. It won't infect people. So we put hand sanitizer on our hands because we touch, you shouldn't really touch your mouth, your nose, but it's inevitable. Some people do that. And, you might, we don't shake hands anymore, but just imagine like if you coughed in your hand and you shook hands with somebody and then they put their hand in their mouth or something,
Scratch
it's
their nose.
exactly anything. And we also know it can survive on surfaces. And I don't know a lot of the data behind that, like the surface viability of the coronavirus, but I did read some things about that. And so we're wiping things down, right? That's where like I
Wipe it
made that
down.
song,
Wipe it down.
right? Wipe it
Yeah, I've died.
down.
Yeah.
I made that song, and like, for that reason, understanding that that was important. um and then like, I don't think people really think about this aspect a lot. And this is that like the longer that this virus is alive, the more generations it has to mutate. Like, and the virus
That's
isn't
true.
mutating, it's not mutating fast, right? Like there are definitely other viruses that mutate way faster than the coronavirus. And the coronavirus has a proofreading enzyme in it, so it can spell check itself. It's
Yeah.
correcting itself as much as it can. But mutations are inevitable, right? There's never a perfect
I mean, that's how we're here.
copy. Yeah,
That's
that's how
that's
we're here.
lit.
That's why
Yeah.
we're all so different.
Mm-hmm.
But imagine, right? Like you see how different we all are, right?
Mm-hmm.
Three of us, we're also different from one another. But these differences evolved over like tens of thousands of years, if not like hundreds of thousands of years. I'm not really sure. Um, Viruses have a much shorter life cycle. Those changes can occur. I don't know. We got to look up how long coronavirus can live outside of the human body or inside, right? But like the more chances it has to have generations, and with each generation you could have more mutations. And right now the virus has not mutated in a way that makes it easier to spread. We don't know, there's no data that says that. um, the virus hasn't mutated in a way that we think that our vaccines will not work. But if we don't keep the numbers down, like, you never know what could happen. So we gotta stop the spread so that we can stop giving the virus a chance to mutate and become different from
And
what
then
it is right now.
then it'll be worse after that.
Because it'll be worse after that. Like then, all of our medicines, if it mutates in the place where we're trying to target our medicines right now, we have to start from scratch, right? Because then it's not gonna work no more if it changes too much. Little things like that. And I definitely don't want to scare people, but I want to give people another incentive to not give up, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because this is, right now we kind of, I don't want to say we have it under control, but like, um, actually the cases are going up where I'm living right now.
Us too. Us too.
Yeah. So we don't necessarily even have it under control, but like it could potentially get worse if we don't
Yeah.
manage it. So
I mean, I think the attitude has just become, if we get herd immunity, we'll be good. But the herd immunity could bring a whole different disease and a whole different virus in here. But yeah, it's tough. It's tough. It's tough. All right.
it is tough. Like, and I tell people, like, I almost died from the seasonal flu 3 years ago. Like,
Really?
I was in the hospital. Yes. And I did not get my flu shot that year. I actually didn't get the flu shot 2 years in a row. And it was that second year we had a record, like terribly bad flu season where more people were dying from the seasonal flu than had died, in quite a bit of time. And I was one of those people who almost died. Like, I was healthy, how old was I? Like 23-year-old, very healthy, no medical conditions, you know, I almost died and it came out of nowhere. And so I tell people that because people think they're invincible, right? But you can literally get the seasonal flu and die as a healthy 20-something-year-old. So it's so important to share that story because like people aren't taking this seriously. You know, some people have really mild symptoms for, you know, COVID-19 and some people out here dying and it could be a toss up. Like it
Just
could be
luck
it
of the
really
draw.
awesome. Exactly.
I mean, I guess it's bad luck of the draw.
Right.
All right. Yeah. All right. That was, I got kind of, deep right there.
I know. But we'll leave on a good note. The good news is we all have control over our own situation. So wear a mask, physically distance, right? You know what I'm saying? Don't be stupid and we're gonna be okay. Like
Yeah,
that's the good news. That is not out of control.
I got like a random question. So I don't know how it is in New York, but in Massachusetts, when you go out to eat or something, they allow you to take off your mask and there's like a magic number of 6 people could be at the table. Is that like a science thing? Like did they figure out like 6 people could be together? Or like it's just nonsense? They just made up a number.
You know, I don't know if I can speak on that comfortably because, you know, I as a scientist would only hope that that guideline is based on evidence, right?
Yeah.
I haven't really looked into that. That is something that I am concerned about that I will be looking into though, because we're still, if we're all eating, you know, it's not
That's
like
what I'm saying.
Yeah, like it's not like we're taking a bite and then putting our mask back on and then, you know, taking it off for a bite. We're talking, we're kiki, haha, you know, like all up in each other's faces at the table.
Yeah. I was legit like one person in this whole restaurant. When I was thinking, I was like, can fuck it all up. What's the magic number 6? Like what? I was like,
I mean, it's better
6
than
people is not gonna do nothing. Nah, I was confused.
No, I don't think it's about not doing nothing. I think it's about if you have 10 people at the table, those are 4 more people that will catch it if somebody at the table has it. So it's kind of like limiting it.
The six is still a lot of people, bro.
All right, 6 is still less than 10 though.
Think of it like this. It's like me and you. 6 people, me and you, like that. Like think of it like that, bro. That's still a lot of fucking people, bro.
All right, go by yourself.
You know, I had one of my Twitter friends, Anna Gifty. She always be putting me onto the economic side of things. She's an economist.
Okay.
And from talking to her, I always now I'm like practicing always thinking about the economics of things. We tend to think, you know, as you know, Victor, you probably know, but like me and Jason, we probably think super scientifically, like analyzing it from that standpoint. But like we talking about businesses though, you know what I'm saying?
So I understand that too. I understand that like you got to give companies a chance to survive.
And then it's like, where's the fine line between we got to keep these businesses alive and not wreck the economy, but also like, how do we stop this pandemic? Like, it's just crazy.
Yeah.
Crazy.
I mean,
we weren't ready. We were not ready for this.
Nah.
Yeah, I feel like we just got like all busted up.
It just happened, bro, and it's just happening. Yeah. All right. Last question. All right. If you had to give one science fact, oh damn, no, I forgot about this question. All right. I'm gonna switch it. Cause
okay.
I actually have a question that actually applies to something I have in my life, right? So my girlfriend, right? She had her little sister came up to me and was like, oh, she was like asking me about like math questions and stuff like that. And I was like, oh, you like math? She was like, yeah, I really like math and science. Those are like one of my 2 favorite subjects. So, you know, me, obviously I love science too. I got really excited. I was like, oh, what do you like about it? Asking a bunch of questions. And I got really excited. And then she was like, and then by the end of the conversation, she was like, I don't really like it that much though. And I was like, did I ruin it? Did I fuck it up? Like, damn, did I mess up? And I was like, all right, maybe I was like too like excited or something like that. So, you know, as a science educator and somebody that's educated on people on science already, what do you think is the best thing to do to nurture a kid's love for science so that it becomes like a lifelong love for science?
Oh, I love that you gave that example because having worked in a school at so many levels, like I've had those exact same interactions with kids. Kids at all ages, it seems like when you are talking to them about something, I don't know how to explain this, but like, I mean, when you're talking to them about something that kind of takes them out of their normal zone, like their comfort zone or what they're used to talking about, and they're showing an interest in it, um I've seen multiple responses, especially when you, as we're talking about science, when you as a scientist are trying to engage that student and like get them, hey, like let's talk about this more. I've also had situations where at the end of the conversation they kind of like close up and they're like, okay, but I don't really like it, I don't really like it like that, I was just talking. I'm like, no, but you were saying something there, like
Yeah, yeah.
you actually really do like science. Continue to have those conversations and like normalize talking about science. But also, because I've had so many of these interactions, I've learned to be sneaky about it.
Yeah, okay.
And like, do not let people know, especially when you're talking about kids. And this is not every kid. These are the kids that, like, if you feel like their response to you, if you start having a long ass conversation about science, if you feel like their response is gonna be like, well, I don't really like it like that, do not go jump the gun and start going heavy on the science. You sneak it in, right?
Mm,
You sneak in. Like, for
okay.
example, and this is actually, I don't know if I want to give this example because it's gonna kill the mood a little bit. But
I mean,
maybe it won't. Maybe it will.
do it up, do it up.
So y'all know who Juice World
Yeah,
was, right?
yeah.
I taught at a high school this past year as a chemistry teacher. Actually, it's a long story. We could talk about that maybe another day. But I was a chemistry teacher, and Juice World passed, right? And the whole day, my students, I taught at the end of the day. I did like administrative work at the beginning, and then I taught my chemistry at the end of the day. And so I knew that Juice World had passed. And when it finally came to my turn to have the kids at the end of the day, they're coming in, it's like ninth period. Hey, Miss Baxter. And like, dang, all of a sudden, as soon as they all sat down, everybody's crying. Like, rah, like real big tears. And the reason why they were crying, obviously, one, Juice WRLD had passed, but two, nobody had let them talk about it the entire day. Like the teachers, I was working in a predominantly Black school, and I think we only had, it was a charter school, 400 students, but like only 3 Black teachers.
Wow.
So, all the other teachers were white. And we had one dude from Puerto Rico who taught Spanish. He was actually really chill. But that was it. And so come to find out, these kids were not allowed to talk about it in these other classrooms by their teachers who didn't look like them. You know what I'm saying? Like they had to hold that emotion in all day long. And then they felt safe enough to like talk about it and really release how they were feeling, because they knew that I would let them be their unapologetic selves in my classroom. Yeah. Well, that's point 1. 2, so we had to talk about it, right? Because me being a caring and responsive teacher, I'm like, okay, I had a lesson today, but it looks like we got to talk about what everybody's crying about, because I can't. I started the conversation as like, I can't really teach chemistry to these kids if they're crying, and these are high schoolers, like seniors, juniors and seniors. So these are big tears. So we talked about it, and he died from an overdose, right? And so first I had to talk about, we're going to talk about Juice WRLD, but first we're going to address like why this is dumb, because it's dumb. He didn't have to die. Like he died because he was trying to sneak, he's trying to sneak some drugs that he shouldn't have.
Trying to hide it.
Yeah, in literally the dumbest way possible. Like, like what? So we had to have that conversation of like, I know y'all love this man, but can we address that was dumb? And they were like, we know that was dumb. Yes. And I'm like, okay, now let's talk about why he died. And I had to break down the science of it to them because they actually were interested in understanding how an overdose happens. And like, I gave them an actual toxicology lesson in the chemistry class about drugs and drug concentrations and how drugs are formulated. And like, I taught them about toxicology and connected it to things that they were interested in or things that were impacting their lives at that point in time. And when I tell you that kids who normally like didn't give a shit about anything that I was saying in class days before, weeks before, were all tuned in, like literally 100%. Like, I'm with you, teacher. Like what's up?
Wow.
Like keep
crazy
the information. And so, I say all that to say, like, I did not approach that as like, hey, I'm about to teach y'all some science. I really had to break it down into like a place where it felt very relevant to them and important to them, like important for them to know that information. Because having that information actually brought them a little closure, to understanding what happened with Juice WRLD and help them make better decision making. And like there was much more to the story than I learned science, right? It's like I learned a life lesson. I learned, not to be a dumbass.
Yeah.
And that is kind of how I approach things like that. There's a time and a place to be that preachy, science teacher, and then there's a time and a place to really sit down and like be with your students and meet them where they are.
Damn, I don't think that was a dark story. I think that was a really beautiful story, to be honest.
Okay, cool.
That was a beautiful story. Because
Jason, don't be scaring the kids, bro.
I just get excited, dog. Like literally when somebody said,
it's okay. You gotta be chill though sometimes, though.
Yeah,
I learned that after that. And get it all hyped,
I learned after that situation.
Relax,
I can't, like, I literally was like, I got excited. I started sweating, bro. I was like, oh, really? Like, but I have to chill for sure. But man, I know you gotta go soon. So let's cut it right here, bro. Honestly, this has been a fucking beautiful, amazing episode. This is what I'm here for, literally, bro. This is why I sit in front of this microphone every week, bro, trying to get people like you coming on. So it's awesome.
Raven, thank you so much for having the time to come on our show. It means the world to us. You're fucking amazing.
Yep.
Oh man, ladies and gentlemen, if you're not following her on social media, you're fucking slacking. Get on it, ladies and gentlemen, and follow her on every form of social media. I'm telling you, ladies and gentlemen, by the end of this convo, if you don't think she's cool as shit
and smart as shit too,
you weren't listening.
You weren't listening.
You weren't listening. You weren't listening. You weren't listening. Ladies and gentlemen, it's time for the messy moment.
Messy moment. Messy moment. Messy moment.
Oh man, ladies and gentlemen, that was a fucking amazing conversation. When I tell you, ladies and gentlemen, I'm probably gonna watch this episode like fucking 30, 40, 50, 60, maybe 100 fucking times just this week. You feel me? Oh man, this episode's been so awesome, ladies and gentlemen. Ladies and gentlemen, we're in the messy moment, ladies and gentlemen. The messy moment is a time where we can reflect and we dive into this podcast. Ladies and gentlemen, the amazing conversation we had with Raven. She is awesome. She's a beast. She's the most hardworking person ever. She has the schedule from 6 a.m. to 6 a.m., just 24 hours, just doing the most. You know what I mean, ladies and gentlemen? And it's been such an awesome, amazing journey throughout this conversation, the many conversations we had. And my messy moment, out of the many, obviously, I love doing this. This is awesome. And if I could pick a messy moment, it would be the whole episode. But since I have to get nitty and gritty specific, my messy moment would have to be when we were talking about the TED Talk that she had and how I just related with her, with the fact that she was loving what she was doing. She was loving the science. She was doing the science. She was in it, but she felt alone. And for me, that really hit me, especially to talk about it on the show, because it was something that I was going through. I felt that, you know what I mean? Like, ladies and gentlemen, you know, little secret, I cried a little bit when I was watching that, because I was like, oh man, someone that like, you know, Jason and I find so like awesome, and she's like so up there, to relate to her in such a level like that was just, it means a lot, you know. It shows like, wow, that's, you know, it's crazy. So it was definitely, that's my messy moment, just expressing that, and just knowing that both me and her made it out, and we're smiling now. Our hair is not coming out, and we're fucking, you know, we're loving every moment of life now. We're not fucking stressed, depressed, or whatever we were on, you know what I'm saying? And yeah, thank you again, Raven. It was awesome. Ladies and gentlemen, if you're not following her on social media, like I said, follow her on everything.
Let them know where to find you, Raven. Let them know where to find you.
You can follow me. Okay. Hi, everybody. You can follow me at Raven the Science Maven on Facebook and Instagram. I am on Twitter at Raven Sci Maven. I'm on TikTok at Science Maven, and my website is www.scimaven.com. SCIMAVEN.com.
Boom.
Boom, ladies and gentlemen.
All right.
Jason,
I'm gonna take it. All right. So my messy moment, you know, there was a lot of great things. This is literally, I'm telling you, I've been dreaming about this for months. All right, we finally got here, and it went beautifully, smooth, free flowing, awesome, right? For me, my messy moment, you know, this is probably like the third time this has been my messy moment, but I'm telling you, education, there's a lot of inequalities between our education systems. And like I said, bro, somehow there's standardized tests, but there's not standardized education over the United States. So clearly something's wrong in the situation. So my messy moment is when she starts doing what she's doing, bro, we got to make sure Raven gets into office as the Secretary of Education. Take Betsy DeVoe, whatever her name is, out of that place. Let somebody that knows what they need, that needs to happen, take what she needs to do and do what she's got to do. Because, bro, I'm telling you, education is important, and how we learn and how it's presented to us is super important for us to have, you know, a long-lasting love for learning. And because, or literally every day you wake up, you're going to learn something. So if you are, you know, have that love for learning and you get to live your life and be like that, I feel, bro, for me, I'm telling you, I walk every day and I'm like, oh, damn, and I'm trying to learn something new. Because that's just how life is. So that's my messy moment. Wherever you can take it.
You know, I think I really liked the conversation about just living in your purpose and chasing your dream, and how we all pretty much feel like so much passion and energy when we're doing what we feel like we're being called to do, and putting our effort into that really does feel meaningful and important. And I think that's very powerful. And, you know, I think that's going to take y'all far. Like when Jason reached out to me about the podcast, I really had no doubt that this was going to be fire, just because how excited he sounded in an email, y'all. Like in an email, I was like, yo, I don't know who this person is, but they are so hype about what they're doing. Like it was impossible for me to not feel like I should be a part, you know? And I could sense how passionate you are about getting the word out about what you care about and bringing people in who do the same. And I was definitely vibing with that. And so I think that was an important part of our conversation today.
Damn, that was fire. Nice.
Oh man, ladies and gentlemen, it's the saddest time of the show. We have to say goodbye. But first, you gotta like, subscribe, and comment some great shit. You gotta follow us on all platforms. Our Messy Rooms.
Our Messy Rooms. Our Messy Rooms on Instagram. Ladies and gentlemen, check you later. Check you later. Raven, you gotta get that, bro. You gotta say check you later.
You gotta say check you later.
I'm too busy laughing. Like check you later.
Hey.
That's a wrap. Oh,
Let's
man.
go.